All right, going to give this a few seconds here to see if YouTube wants to go ahead and start streaming, which we are. Let's see if we can get through this without being harassed by an ex that just came out of the woodwork several years ago that's harassing me, my current partner, bringing up my soon-to-be stepson for absolutely no reason at all. Let me get all this here. Okay, yeah, cool. So we are live. So that's good. Let me bring this up on my phone to read the chat and comments and everything. No, wait, that's yesterday's. All right, there we go. So let me go ahead and move this. So obviously still I'm with my partner right now, so I'm not at my house. So we're just rolling on the single screen. So I do apologize for situations like this when I got to go ahead and show, a huge echo here. But Darlington and which I'm not doing here, everybody who has access to TrueDFS, whether it be the NASCAR package or any of the packages, can go through Astukas's preview, which we have been doing through the preview videos and through different live streams and stuff. And you can go and look at how these, I believe the last 6 races here, so the last 3 years of the next gen car, have broken down between like laps led, fast laps, obviously the the point distribution or the threshold that people need to be at least optimal or a top 10 scorer. And when you look here, you're looking at a lot of people scoring high 70s, high 80s and stuff like that. What I like to do for intermediate tracks, which you'll see here with Jake talking about Ellie going to victory lane. What I like to do here specifically is look at where people are at coming into this race. And so let me make sure that you can see this. Okay, we can't. That's fine. I'm at 90%. I mentioned this in the Homestead race in the contest review. The intermediate tracks, especially at this point, like there's really no difference in how these drivers approach these tracks. If you have the skill to run the wall at Homestead, at Vegas, at Kansas, because I mean that's where you find speed in these cars is running the top. You're going to be perfectly fine moving forward. I mentioned that. Now, I did not expect these drivers to be priced as low as they are. The fact that Hamlin is 10-1, the fact that Reddick is 10-2, Larson's 10-5. Blaney has been the best car recently at intermediate tracks. Okay, drove through the field in dirty air at Las Vegas, got involved in the crash, ran away with the race at Homestead till he blew a motor. Okay, the fact that Blaney was like 27% owned at Homestead when he blew that motor was, I mean, like you can't ask for a better situation here. I thought for sure he'd be priced up more. Blaney is my absolute favorite play at the moment when we're looking at where people have been at these tracks by what I look at or how I organize the data from these races. Like Ryan Blaney is the guy that I want to play this week. I don't think he's going to carry the amount of ownership that he should. Both Las Vegas and Homestead he had the best cars, and stuff just didn't reflect that at all. When we are looking at where these other guys are coming in, I'm concerned about Byron starting first. I mean, you can see that he's consistently been the second to third best car, but we've seen Byron have issues leading races, getting the lead once he moves up. Like he's always just being beat by some person. Now he is 9,900, and when we're looking at a race like this, as I said, I think Blaney's the best play at 97. When you're looking at Blaney at 97 and Byron at 99, that combination of drivers, or at least that type of build, leaves you a lot of money to actually possibly grab Larson. Certainly you're grabbing Bowman. And a lot of these 7K range guys are very, very much in play. 7 and 8K guys are in play. Same thing, I know we're kind of bouncing around, but obviously I'm getting through the pole sitter and, my favorite play right off the bat. But even Bell and Logano being at 95 and 93 as a direct pivot off of Larson, not only do you get, if we look at how Larson is, let me go up here. And my partner's going to church in a few minutes, so if you hear, a door close or the little dog lose his mind, that's what's going on. When we look at like how like Larson's, what I would argue has been the second best car at Vegas and Homestead, obviously, won the race at Homestead because Blaney blew up. But when we're looking at where There's real situations where Larson underperforms. And the fact that he's 10-5, when we're looking at, and again, this is just the data that I look at, but like Logano at a pretty substantial discount, a $1,200 discount. I mean, I don't hate this play. I really don't. I look at how Bell has underperformed like a mother lately. These last two races, like he performed terrible at Las Vegas and terrible at Homestead from the metrics that I look at, and specifically where he should have been at coming off of last year's races. Now, granted, these just happen to be, because I separate intermediates from short tracks and stuff like that. When we're looking at what Bell did, last year to this, this is a pretty substantial fall off. Whether he's just been missing, whether the car has been just terrible, he's happened to perform very, very poorly. But the fact that they are starting literally side by side of Larson at 10-5, who is probably going to carry, a good amount of ownership in this race. We've seen Darlington be very volatile for, favorites, and not even favorites, but, chalk. They've seen, what is it? It's been very volatile to lap leaders, high owned drivers and stuff. We look at the situations where Larson struggled and has struggled at Darlington because he gets in the wall, he destroys his car, whatever the case may be. We've had a lot of situations where people are involved in wrecks. Even just last year, we look at where, Blaney was, yet again, what happened to Blaney and Homestead? Blew a motor, got wrecked at Las Vegas. Darlington too, didn't even get a chance to do anything when him and Truex got involved in the crash at the start of the race, and then, literally didn't do anything last year in Darlington. So clearly, I'm just going on my own stuff here, but there's a real high possibility of volatility here. When we look at the 6 races here, we've had 3 races to where one person leads over 100 laps. But then when you look at the distribution of where the fast laps and laps that are coming from, past that, you have a lot of guys leading 50, 60, 40 laps. And so, I really, really like this race to be aggressive on guys that probably the field isn't on. But 2, I probably just on principle alone probably want to be underweight on, really aggressive drivers who have shown the ability to get in the wall, like Reddick, Larson, and be much more open to playing guys like, anywhere from Logano to Buscher to, even people like Hocevar and Chastain. When you look at the 3 stages in this race, the fact that you pretty much have to pit in the middle of both stages, and then obviously, the 3rd stage and stuff. But thank you. What is it? What was I saying? Oh, the fact that we have to pit, pretty much every stage, like we're going to have people short pit. Typically that has been the Hendrick cars. Usually Hendrick and Joe Gibbs are the first ones to get actually in pit lane and actually start, the sequences. Obviously we have Trackhouse naturally trying to get off sequence and stuff we've seen, which has not worked, which we haven't seen it from Chastain since then. But there was an instance where a race where Chastain ran the entire first stage, long, and then pretty much got lapped with like 2 to go in stage 1. But I would not be shocked to see people like Front Row, people like Spire, or somebody, even like, the RFK group, use these, basically these pit cycles to get off sequence and stuff. We've already seen that in some of these short tracks and some of these other races to where we see Josh Berry lead. We see, even Logano's gotten out in the front. Just getting off sequence. So when we're looking at Darlington, this is a perfect example of when you probably want to have ownership more spread out, just because people, like, by the very nature of this race, are going to be getting on different strategies because of that. We have the 38 little JJ Yaley here. When we're looking at the back of the field, I see a no. I really can't even fathom a situation where Bowman isn't scoring over 50 points today. You look at where he's been in these races. Now, yet again, ran the issue at Darlington 2 last year. But you look at where Bowman is at in these races. He's been a top 5 car, $8,300. Excuse me. Pretty much wherever you're going build-wise, you need to have, room for Bowman. Now, he's 83. He's very easy to fit into. As I said, I think this is a race that lends itself to paying guys in the 9K range. I mean, Bowman fits that, perfectly. We see Chastain at 25, but even still, Eric Jones, who statistically this has been one of Eric Jones's best tracks, even in this legacy car. Yet again, when we're paying up for, whether it be multiple 9K guys, 10K guys like Bowman, Jones, Gregson, Suarez, and Chastain are guys that I would see myself easily getting to. Same thing with like Josh Berry as well. I'm not trying to be all over the place on a slate like this, but this is one where I really, really like building a lot of lineups and, centering on people like Byron, people like Bowman, really, getting like 50 to 60% ownership on the expensive guys that I want, and then spreading out between, the 8, 7, and 6K range, because, those ranges are much more, volatile and certainly have way more upside than, your expensive guys. Because obviously we're projecting Bowman and people like that too. Not Bowman, but Byron, Hamlin, Reddick, like obviously these guys are all, expected to lead laps. But what's really going to, change a lot of stuff is just where people go on pit sequences, where people, stay out, decide to pit, whatever the case may be. The fact that at pretty much any situation of a yellow pass, lap 4, 5, or 6 in a run, you're going to be pitting for tires, just by the nature of that, you should probably be way more open to playing, guys in the 6 and 7K ranges today. I mean, that's basically where I'm at. I do see the Austin Hill question. I'm personally not going there. I would probably I haven't needed when I start building. I don't really need, $5,900 Austin Hill. If you're building, yet again, now a lot of my stuff is leaning towards Byron and Bowman, or Byron, Bowman, Blaney together. But due to that, the other plays I'm using are in the, high 6s, 7s, 8s. Like I'm just not getting to, much of the 5K range today. So personally for me, like I don't really think you need to go to Austin Hill. But that's just kind of where I'm at. Really past that, I don't really think there's much anything else. I'm just gonna tell you right now, my lineup is or my day is gonna absolutely be based on what Blaney does. He's just been the guy that I've been playing like crazy and have gotten just so fucking unlucky with. Like, I mean, we were running away with Homestead. It was so unfortunate. But yeah, really past that, I don't. Now, granted, I'm going later. Probably, I'm assuming Run Pure and at least somebody else is probably live at this point, because normally I go live at like 9. I'm on a hotspot right now. I don't have internet, so that's why I'm going live later than normal. But I mean that's mainly it. I can't really think of anything else that I would do or build wise. I mean, I've already been here for, I mean, that's pretty quick, 15 minutes or 17 or so. That's not bad. I mean, that's mainly it. My projections are up yet again, since I don't have internet right now. I'm not able to upload the slate ID, so I do apologize for that. So you can just pull the projections from the CSV on the projections page and then upload that to SaberSim. What else? I think that's mainly it. As I said, Stukas and I are recording, obviously we've been, I've been walking you through the tools since we've had them on the site. We're going to do like an actual, like from the ground up, like, hey, if you have any questions or how would you use this or whatever, that'll be recorded this week. I think past that, that's mainly it. If I, gun to my head, who am I? Who do I think wins the race, or who's the top 5 at the end of the day? Yeah, at least not to win the race, but the top 5, I would certainly give Blaney, Larson, Byron, probably Hamlin. What is that? 4 drivers. I mean, those are the guys that I focus on. But the fact that, I mean, yet again, not only are we looking at intermediate tracks, I mean, Byron has been like, as I've stated, in the past, I pretty much always want like 25, 30% Byron, regardless of any of these races. I mean, you look at where this guy is at on these tracks. I mean, that's the ownership you want. It's just that I'm concerned at him starting, not even concerned, but if we get Byron at like 38, 42% ownership, post lock, that's certainly a situation where it's like, damn, I probably should have been underweight. If he's like 33, 34, I'm probably fine with that. You probably, lastly, or my last note, I haven't talked much Hamlin at all, but he's starting third. Really, really good pit stall selection. I mean, the pit stalls here are drastically more important, or not drastically more important, but when we look at, Vegas, Kansas, Dover, Darlington, just because, you already have drivers, on the bottom of 3 and 4 entering the pits. You then have a pretty decent gap, due to the inside wall kind of extruding out into the pit lane, and then you have the rest of the gang on the front straightaway. Darlington is a pretty let me change that. Pit stall selection on Darlington is pretty important. And so when we are looking here, you can go if you need to. Enjoy, have fun. What is it? What was I saying? Oh, the pit stall selection. So like Byron, Priest, Hamlin, I like Hamlin way more than I like Larson today. I like Byron way more than I like, Larson, Bell, and Logano today. This is a race where I would, this is a race where I'd want to be overweight on probably the guys that don't have a lot of ownership to. And those two guys seem, at least in my opinion, to be Ryan Blaney and obviously Byron, but probably Hamlin. Like those are probably the 3 guys that I'd want to be overweight onto the field versus, especially when we get to lock and fucking Larson's at like 49%. That's gonna be nuts. So, I mean, he's. Oh, that's. Let me get Larson in there. No, whoa, what am I typing down here? What in the hell? I'm erasing Eric's. Oops. Let's go up here. I mean that's pretty much it, man. I really can't think of anything. This is a pretty standard, intermediate race. Yet again, we'll just go through here. And I apologize if you can't really see this very well. As I said, I'm on my laptop today. I mean, Byron's the most consistent. Priest has been showing decent speed too. I mean, he was 11th best at Homestead, 12th best at Vegas, 72. Not bad. You look at what Hamlin's been able to do. Now, yet again, he's been up and down as well, but I like the upside. Hamlin last 2 Darlington races 5th and 4th respectively in these races, based on and when I say best, like that just that's how I rank these guys here. Now, yet again, now Briscoe did get the win. Oh my gosh, dude, I hate doing this shit on a single monitor. Now he did get the win last year. I mean, second best car. We haven't even talked about him at $9,100 last year, in the fall race. But I've just not seen, and now this is, Briscoe being the second best qualifier for Joe Gibbs, which we have not seen yet. We've seen him, be pretty. I mean, let's face it, he's been underperforming based on what that car can do. But I just have no interest there. Bubba Wallace has fallen to pit road issues a lot here. Can't really blame him. That's on his crew a lot more than him. In these races, he's been the 6th best car. Darlington starting 5th today. But what does he need at $8,500? Laps led, fast laps. There's so many guys that are probably going to be leading over him. Not really anything. You see where Centric is. You see where Reddick is. I can't really think of anybody else that I probably need to focus on or show or do anything here. But I do believe that's it. What the hell is this thing here, dude? What is this line here? Yeah, dude. Oh, I removed Eric Jones. Jesus Christ, dude. I hate these laptops. I'm getting a lot of things on Ty Dillon at 53. Now he's starting 29. So let's go ahead and look at Ty Dillon and what he's been doing. Yet again, it's just this year. So the main thing with Dillon is he's been starting near the rear. I think 29 is pretty much where he should be at. Let me turn this off and look through where. Not off, but let me turn this off and see what I actually have Dillon. I'll just tell you right now what I have him at. I got good old Ty Dillon finishing. I got him finishing 25th today with a fast lap, gives Ty Dillon a solid 21.45 points. So, I mean, that's kind of my opinion there. If we're looking at, let's say we need a punt, right? Yet again, punts and stuff are much more viable at short tracks and stuff like that with people with a lot more laps. I would keep leaning to Riley Herbst and even Cole Custer. Cole Custer starting first and Herbst starting 32nd. Cole Custer's had pretty decent speed. I think he's probably performed better than at least what I would picture him for to start this year. And then Herbst, in the third 2311 car, he's shown speed here. Let me check here. That's going to be a situation. I mean, you've kind of already seen where he was at on the board, but there's going to be a situation of me absolutely just staring at the logs here, at the race logs. So we look here. Let's see. Finished 19th at Vegas. Well, fuck. I mean, we can just go through it. Daytona 500 means nothing. Atlanta means nothing. 17th at Coda. Phoenix started 18th, finished 37th. Las Vegas finished 19th. Straight Talk Wireless 400 at Homestead. He finished. Is that 33rd? That is his 33rd place finish. Now, yet again, he did go a lap down at Vegas, so he did get a a wave around and stuff. But that's really what I think you're chasing more with Herbst is his potential situation where he can finish 19th and stuff. So personally, I would take Herbst way over Dillon. Like I said, I don't think we're that tight on money, and the 400 between 53 and 57, I think you can more than easily find that. And so I personally like Riley Herbst a lot more than Ty Dillon today. Yet again, people we've talked about, not just in this race, but Blaney's been under-owned compared to what he should have been. Gibbs is another one. Now, granted, Gibbs is starting 11 today, starting too high up for what he should be at because that's where he should finish. But play Gibbs before the field, and he qualified decent today, so it kind of negates that approach. But playing Gibbs before the rest of the field gets to him, playing Herbst before the rest of the field gets to him. Keselowski's rubbing people the wrong way. Now, granted, I did see Phil talk about this on Twitter this week about, why is Preece and Buescher performing so better or, performing much better than what Keselowski has been doing. And can be for a variety of things, but I very much agree with him that, look, Keselowski, obviously he wants to race, right? Clearly. I'm not saying get the fuck out of here, Keselowski. But he won with his team. That was, his entire goal, okay? He's more than happy to see, Buescher and Preece succeed. That's why they're qualifying so well. And Keselowski has been underperforming based on, what we've seen in the past. But probably starting to play more Keselowski than the field. In the in the game of DFS and seeing where people go week to week, race to race, whether they're looking at track history, recent form this year, blah 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 blah. Blaney, Gibbs, Keselowski, Riley Herbst, Josh Berry as well. Josh Berry at $7,800. We haven't talked about him either. These are probably the 5 drivers that you want to kind of go out of your way to try. What I would think would be a positive leverage play on the field is to be overweight on those guys because they're just not being nearly owned as much. I mean, Barry, sure, which yet again we talked about this in the review videos. If you haven't watched those, I would highly recommend that you do because I think you learn a lot from not only seeing how contests play out, the combination of drivers and stuff, but also just going through the race and seeing everything. But anyway, with Barry winning at Vegas, when we're looking at what strategies can do, it's very rare that you are running, mid-pack or whatever, and then you stay out or you make some, random strategy change that gives you the opportunity to lead. You typically don't go from running 19th or whatever to the lead and being able to hold on to that. What happens is, strategy can get you the lead if you're running, 7th, 8th, 10th or whatever. When we look at what Barry's been doing, usually I don't, look at all the tracks, but he ran very well at Phoenix, obviously ran well at Las Vegas. What I mean very well is top 10 contender, top 7, like I believe at Phoenix. Well, hell, I know you can't see this. I'm just looking through it really fast. He was the 7th best car in Vegas, basically the 6th best car at Phoenix. Obviously strategy was able to let him get that. Like Josh Berry starting 24th today, $7,800. Yet again, the high 6s and 8K ranges, and really just the 8K ranges with Chastain and Bowman. Like you can make some really fucking decent lineups today. That's why I lean much more towards, finding the guys you want up top, and then 1v1ing guys in the bottom of the field. Soares at 68, mispriced. 83 for Bowman, you'd say he's underpriced. Eric Jones is underpriced. He has shown enough upside to where we can easily consider him starting 24th. Like Gregson at 26. The Herbst at 57, Cole Custer at 58. I mean, even if you want to go to Ty Dillon, you could use it. That's, those are the directions that I think you can go today. So, and then you combine that with the volatility of Darlington and what it does, whether people blow tires, whether they get in the wall, whatever the case may be. Darlington specifically is a race that you probably want to be overweight to the field on people, either, if they're not, then, that's why I went on this whole, kind of segue, this whole discussion of, who I would use or who I wanted or whatever, right? I see Andrew asking. I mean, yeah, but Brad, I know this is on your screen. We don't need to add it because I'm not going to be on here too much longer. But really, since he won that spring Darlington race, I mean, we've seen a substantial drop off from, what Keselowski was able to do. I mean, he wins the first Darlington race, 7th best at Charlotte, 3rd best at Pocono. We look at Darlington 2, he was 12th best. Kansas 2, he was 15th best. Had a horrific day at the Las Vegas race to end the year. 19th best at Homestead last year. 20th this year at Vegas, and obviously ran really, really poorly at Homestead this past time, where I have him as like the 27th best car. I mean, I just think that's the trajectory that Brad has taken, not necessarily crew chief related, because that was already happening last year. But I mean, that's mainly it. Yeah, I do believe I'm going to end the stream there. Yeah, I do believe. Also, shout out to the guy who, obviously, we had the comments to open the stream yesterday, and even on the bottom of the Xfinity Series video later. But obviously, I deleted them. But and I don't remember the name of who said it, but whoever mentioned, going to bet to get, whatever money that they are falsely wanting out of me. That I thought that answer was so fucking hilarious. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you guys later. Let's see if any more burners get made. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later. Best of luck. Bye-bye.